All right, so you've sent in a ton of info about the Shiv Purana. It's not just stories, right? It's got philosophy, spirituality, deep insights.
Yeah.
And I guess today's mission is to kind of extract the most useful stuff, the potent stuff.
Like the most potent, the stuff that's going to like change your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And also not like...
Not overwhelm.
Yeah, not overwhelm you with too much information.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, the Shiv Purana, it's traditionally attributed to Rishi Ved V.S. And we're looking at over 24,000 shlokas.
Yeah, it's a monumental work. Yeah. I mean, you could think of it as like...
It's a lot.
It's like Google Earth for the spiritual landscape.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've got 7 samhitas.
Yeah.
And that's the Vidishwar, Rudra, Shata, Rudra, Koti, Rudra, Uma, Kailasa, and Vayavya Samhitas.
Yeah.
They all sound like they offer like a slightly different way of looking at Lord Shiva.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But what is the core thread that sort of ties these diverse perspectives together for you?
Well, so the core thread is that they each focus on different aspects.
Okay.
You know, some focus on knowledge, some on the more fearsome, raw power of Rudra, some on the feminine aspect, you know, some on Shiva's like heavenly abode.
Right.
But what they all circle back to is this concept of Leela, which is divine play.
Right.
It's all an expression of Shiva's dynamic energy.
Yeah.
It's like less about a rigid doctrine and more about like a vibrant cosmic dance.
Okay, so let's unpack this dance a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start with something that often surprises people, and that's Shiva as the destroyer. In everyday language, right, destruction is negative.
Right.
But the Sanatana Dharma perspective is radically different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
So
well, in Sanatana Dharma, which means like the eternal tradition, destruction isn't about like malicious obliteration. It's fundamentally about transformation. You know, it's like
a forest fire.
Yeah, like a forest fire.
Yeah.
Devastating in the moment, but then it makes way for new growth and richer biodiversity.
It clears out all the underbrush.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like this cosmic fire that burns away the old, the stagnant, to make space for the fresh and the vital.
So it's purposeful dismantling rather than just random chaos.
Right, exactly.
So what are the falsehoods that the Shiv Purana says that Shiva is targeting for destruction?
Well, the text emphasizes things that limit our potential illusions that cloud our judgment, the ego that breeds suffering and separation, and desires that chain us to the cycle of dissatisfaction. Okay,
so it's about kind of dismantling our inner obstacles to reveal the inherent truth within.
Yeah.
Okay, now the story of Tripura Samhar, the destruction of the 3 cities, feels like a powerful metaphor for this. So can you paint that picture for us?
Okay, so picture 3 colossal cities. One of gold in the heavens, one of silver in the atmosphere.
Wow.
And one of iron on earth.
Okay.
And these cities are built by incredibly powerful demons, and they basically become indestructible and wreak havoc across the cosmos.
So they're invincible and chaotic, just floating around.
Yeah.
So how did Shiva confront this seemingly insurmountable problem?
Well, the narrative is quite striking because he doesn't engage in this prolonged battle.
Okay.
He waits for a very precise alignment.
Okay.
This rare moment when all 3 cities converge into a single point, and then with a single immensely powerful arrow, fueled by the combined energies of all the gods, he obliterates all 3.
Wow, that image kind of sticks with you.
Yeah.
One arrow taking out 3 cities. So what's the deeper resonance of those 3 cities for us?
Well, symbolically, the 3 cities represent the fabric of our inner limitations. So the physical body with its cravings, the restless mind with its constant chatter, and the ego with its sense of isolated selfhood.
So those are our internal tripuras.
Exactly.
Okay, so the destruction of these external cities kind of mirrors the need to overcome these internal obstacles.
Yes.
So if those cities are within us, what would be considered our modern-day Shiva's arrow?
That's the question for you.
Yeah, that is the question.
So the Shiv Purana and many contemplative traditions suggest that practices like focused meditation are like that arrow. So it's a tool to cultivate inner stillness, to pierce through the distractions of the mind, and to begin dissolving those limitations that we impose on ourselves, the internal tripuras that hold us back from clarity and peace.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so The relationship between Shiva and Parvati.
Yes.
It's so central to this story.
Yeah.
It's a love story, but it feels like it embodies something so much more profound.
It does, yeah.
About existence itself.
It's not just a divine romance.
Okay.
It's a fundamental allegory for the union of Purusha and Prakriti.
Okay.
Which is pure consciousness, or like the observing principle, and then nature and energy, the dynamic force.
Okay.
So their inseparable bond is seen as the source of all creation.
Wow.
And all cosmic activity.
So they're like the universe's ultimate power couple.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So Parvati's pursuit of Shiva is legendary. And it's marked by her intense tapasya, her dedicated spiritual practice.
Right.
What does that level of commitment signify?
It signifies unwavering will.
Okay.
It signifies a burning desire to unite with the divine. So it highlights that effort and dedication that's often required on the spiritual path.
Okay.
You know, it's a powerful testament to the strength of focused intention.
And even when Shiva tested her,
yes,
right, disguised as a sage,
yes,
who was critical of him, her devotion didn't waver.
No, it didn't.
Which is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And the sage's harsh words were meant to test her faith.
Right.
And her steadfast defense of Shiva. And her refusal to hear any negativity about her beloved.
Yeah.
Underscores this power of unshakable belief.
Right.
And the importance of staying true to your convictions even when challenged.
So beyond the beautiful narrative, what are the core principles we can kind of glean from their dynamic?
Well, there's the transformative power of devotion,
okay,
which is that singular focus that can move mountains.
Okay.
And then there's the essential virtue of patience. Parvati's journey wasn't instantaneous. It took a long time. And then finally, there's the profound wisdom of surrender.
Okay.
Trusting in the divine process, even when the path isn't clear.
Okay, you mentioned that Parvati embodies Shakti.
Yes.
So how does that concept of this divine feminine energy intertwine with Shiva's role in maintaining cosmic balance?
Well, Shakti is like the active creative force of the universe. And without Shakti, Shiva as pure consciousness is considered inert.
Okay.
So Parvati embodies this dynamic energy.
Okay.
And their union is essential for cosmic equilibrium. It's like having a brilliant idea that needs the energy and action to manifest in the world.
Yeah.
So they're two sides of the same cosmic coin, eternally interdependent.
Okay. Now, the birth stories of Ganesha and Kartikeya are also quite distinctive. They don't seem like mere origin tales.
No.
They're imbued with cosmic significance.
Yes, exactly.
So let's start with Ganesha.
Okay.
The image of him being created from Parvati's turmeric paste is so unique. What's the significance of this seemingly humble origin?
Well, the story tells us that Parvati created Ganesha from the paste that she used to cleanse herself and tasked him with guarding her privacy. So this origin underscores Ganesha's connection to the personal and the sacred space within.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the encounter with Shiva, who wasn't aware, the dramatic beheading, and then the eventual revival with an elephant head.
Right.
Blesses the remover of obstacles.
That's a dramatic family moment.
Yeah, it is.
So the elephant head is so iconic. What does that symbolize?
Well, the large ears symbolize wisdom through listening.
Right.
The long trunk represents adaptability and the ability to overcome obstacles. And his overall form embodies auspiciousness and intellect.
So as Parvati's guardian, his role as the remover of obstacles can be seen as protecting our own inner temple.
Exactly.
Clearing the path for our spiritual and personal growth.
Exactly.
I like that, our inner temple.
Yeah.
Now, Kartikeya's birth seems tied to a different kind of cosmic necessity.
It does.
So what's that?
Well, Kartikeya's emergence is directly linked to the urgent need to defeat the demon Tarakasura, who had become a formidable threat to the cosmic order.
Right.
So he's said to have sprung from Shiva's fiery energy, a potent force directed at overcoming negativity and restoring Dharma or righteous order.
Right. And he was nurtured by the Kritikas, the Pleiades star cluster. That celestial connection is intriguing.
Yes, it is. And raised by these 6 celestial nurses. Kartikeya embodies divine nourishment and growth. And he matures into this powerful warrior. And eventually becomes the commander of the celestial armies, leading them to victory over Tarakasura. So his story emphasizes channeling our inner strength and fire towards upholding what is right and just.
So Ganesha clears the path. And Kartikeya empowers us to walk it.
Exactly.
with courage and purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like divine support for both our internal and external battles.
Yes.
Now, another defining image of Shiva is his tandava, the cosmic dance.
Which is more than just a dance.
Yeah, it's not just a dance.
No, the tandava is this profound metaphor for the cyclical nature of the cosmos. So creation, preservation, and destruction are all interwoven in this dynamic expression of divine energy.
So it's like the heartbeat of the universe made visible.
Exactly.
And one of the most intense renditions of this dance is said to have occurred after the devastating loss of Sati at Daksha's yajna.
Right.
That must have been a moment of unimaginable grief and rage.
It was.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed by grief and fury after Sati's self-immolation. Shiva is said to have unleashed a fierce and powerful tandava, carrying her lifeless body across the cosmos.
Wow.
And this wasn't a celebratory dance.
Right.
It was an expression of raw, untamed energy, a dance of both destruction and profound sorrow that threatened to unravel the fabric of reality.
Right. It was Vishnu's intervention
that
eventually brought this tumultuous dance to an end through the dismemberment of Sati's body.
Yeah, to pacify Shiva's grief and prevent cosmic annihilation.
Right.
Vishnu used his Sudarshan chakra to sever Sati's body into multiple pieces. And the places where these sacred fragments fell became revered as Shakti Peeths.
Right.
So this act, while seemingly violent, ultimately led to the emergence of these powerful spiritual centers from the depths of tragedy.
So even in that extreme expression of grief and destruction, there's a seed of new creation.
Exactly.
It really underscores that interconnectedness of seemingly opposing forces.
Yeah.
And this cosmic dance is not just a one-time event in mythology.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process, yeah.
Oh, so how?
Well, the rhythms of the tandava, the cycles of creation, sustenance, and dissolution are constantly at play in every aspect of existence.
Right.
You see it in the rise and fall of civilizations, the growth and decay of nature, the ebb and flow of our own thoughts and emotions, even in the life and death of our physical bodies.
Right.
Everything is in a state of perpetual transformation.
That's a profound perspective.
Yeah.
So now, in contrast to this powerful, sometimes fearsome image of Shiva, there's also the aspect of Bholanath.
Right.
The simple, innocent deity.
Yes.
It highlights a completely different facet of his being.
It does. Well, he's revered as Mahadev, the supreme deity, but he's also deeply loved as Bholanath, which literally translates to simple Lord or innocent one.
Okay.
And this aspect emphasizes his accessibility, his compassion, and the idea that pure, heartfelt devotion transcends elaborate rituals and social barriers.
And the story of the hunter offering unconventional things to the shivling beautifully illustrates this simplicity and the power of pure intention. So tell us about that story.
Okay, so there was the simple hunter who was unaware of the prescribed methods of worship. So he offered what he had readily available, meat and water that he had already tasted.
To a shivling.
To a shivling.
Okay.
Out of pure, unadulterated devotion, which is called bhav. And despite the apparent impropriety of his offering, Shiva, recognizing the sincerity of his heart, bestowed his blessings upon the hunter.
I mean, that story really cuts through this notion that elaborate rituals are the only way to connect with the divine. It's a genuine feeling, the pure intention that truly matters.
Exactly.
So the Shiv Purana, through narratives like this, teaches us that the essence of worship lies in the depth of our connection, regardless of the external form.
Yes.
Or how unconventional our expression might seem to others.
Exactly.
I mean, so bringing all these different facets together, what are some of the core timeless teachings that offer practical guidance for our lives today?
Okay, so despite its ancient roots, the Shiv Purana offers really relevant insights for modern living. For example, Shiva's association with cremation grounds serves as this potent reminder of detachment from material possessions and the impermanence of worldly things.
That's a stark image, but it really drives the point home.
It does.
And his acceptance of snakes and ash. And his association with beings from all walks of life speaks volumes about the principle of equality.
Yeah, so Shiva's embracing of all beings, regardless of their social standing, their perceived purity, or even their nature, like gods, humans, demons, whatever, underscores the fundamental unity and inherent worth of every single being.
And that really challenges a lot of our ingrained biases and societal division.
Yes, it does.
And the image of Shiva in perpetual meditation in the Himalayas emphasizes the importance of inner stillness in our increasingly chaotic world.
Exactly. You know, that iconic posture of deep contemplation highlights the necessity of introspection, of carving out time for inner reflection and connecting with our own inner source of wisdom away from the noise and distractions of daily life.
Yeah. And then there's the Ardhanarishwara form, the half-male, half-female representation of Shiva and Parvati as a single deity.
That's beautiful.
And that really encapsulates the idea of balance and unity between seemingly opposing forces.
Yes. So the Ardhanarishwara form is this powerful symbol of the indivisible nature of consciousness and energy, Purusha and Prakriti.
Right.
And it represents the essential harmony and balance between masculine and feminine principles.
Right.
Not only in the cosmos, but also within each one of us. So it's a call for integration and wholeness.
Okay. And ultimately, it seems that the Shiv Purana emphasizes that true worship transcends rituals and focuses on embodying virtues like kindness, truthfulness, and living a life aligned with Dharma.
Yeah, the Purana suggests that living a life guided by compassion, integrity, and a sense of righteous duty is a far more profound and meaningful form of worship than simply performing external ceremonies.
Right.
It's about aligning our actions with divine principles.
Okay, so as we conclude this deep dive into the Shiv Purana, it strikes me that Shiva is not presented as some remote, fearsome deity to be appeased, but as a much more intimate and relatable presence.
Yeah, exactly. The Shiv Purana reveals Shiva as a friend, a mentor, and a reflection of the divine potential that resides within each of us.
Right.
He's not to be worshipped out of fear, but approached with love, understanding, and a desire for self-discovery.
Right, and it seems that the underlying message is that the ego, that persistent sense of a separate self, is the primary veil. And the death of this ego is the key to realizing that inherent Shiva consciousness.
Exactly.
So,
the Shiv Purana gently guides us towards recognizing the illusory nature of our ego and understanding our intrinsic connection to the divine source.
Right.
The transcendence of ego is the awakening to our true boundless nature.
Our inner Shiva.
Our inner Shiva. So reflecting on these powerful stories and teachings where in your own life might a cycle of destruction and rebirth be most needed.
What outdated beliefs or habits need to be dismantled to make way for new growth? And where could cultivating a deeper sense of balance between your inner masculine and feminine energies bring greater strength and harmony? These are certainly profound questions to carry with you.
Yes, they are.
Thank you for illuminating the depths of the Shiv Purana for us today.
With pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.